Elevated Grapes Podcast.
Elevated Grapes Podcast.
With your host, Sethi.
Your host, Sethi.
And Stylist Rashi Bindra.
It's time to get started.
Let's talk fashion, shall we? All right, guys, so welcome to the Elevated Grapes Podcast. This is not in a regularly scheduled podcast. We're doing something a little bit outside of our schedule just because it's a special period and we got to have a really special guest with us and the timing just worked out. So we want to welcome Shafik.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Super excited.
So first, before we really get into anything, let's just tell them where we are.
All right.
One of our cool things is we like to be at different locations. So right now we're at...
In my house.
Yeah.
So welcome to my apartment. This is where I live and work and everything.
We're right in the heart of downtown. Shafik's cool apartment. We won't give you a tour because it's a private space, but it's a really cool spot.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super cool. And the other cool thing is that we're actually recording this before Pride Weekend. Yes?
Yeah.
Am I right on the timing?
Yeah.
Yeah, just before Pride Weekend. So when you guys hear this, Pride Weekend would have passed.
Yes.
Pride weekend would have passed, but it's still Pride Week
Right.
happening.
It's still Pride Month. So
Pride Month,
is the month of June.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Pride Weekend is really when the parade happens and all the big festivities happen. And that's happening this coming weekend. Normally it's July long weekend, or it's been July long weekend in the past. So this year it's just been moved up by a week.
Oh.
Okay, got you.
So we'll be past Pride Weekend, but we'll be still part of Pride
Month.
So,
Okay.
Is there a reason they changed the date? Is it logistically or just because it worked out that way?
I have no idea.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah. I think there was a city.
So they don't call you to consult
Yeah.
Not yet. Not
Shafik
yet.
said no.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But,
Yeah. Shafik said, I'm working that weekend, so you got to move to the weekend before. That's how it works. So Pride is a big sort of week, like month and weekend for you. So tell us what it means to you.
I think for me, Pride it's the one time you get to come out and be everything you want. And I think over the top, it's sort of like, I always explain Pride to people as it's the caravana for gay people.
That's awesome.
Right? So
That's a great way to explain it.
Because we're gay all year, but this is the one weekend we get to go, like, you get to be extra. You get to dress up. You get to show yourself in any way you want to.
Right.
So, and for me, I think it's the Met Gala
Yes.
of being gay.
Right.
It's the one weekend we get to be like, cool, I get to wear whatever I want. I get to be as campy as I want. I don't necessarily wear dresses every year, but I'm like, oh, I get to, you're allowed to do whatever you want. You get to celebrate yourself in the way you want to.
So what's let's talk about fashion for a second. Right. We're a fashion podcast. And since you touched on it a little bit, what's some of the funkier, fun fashion outfits you worn during Pride Weekend or month or whatever the case?
He's laughing.
Because he's got some ones you can't share? Or?
No. No, I feel like my Pride style goes from something as short, like sequins booty shorts and a tank top, to a full-on... I wore my sister's wedding gown, actually, one day at Pride.
Really?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And what did she say about that?
Nothing. She's like, I was like, can I borrow that? She's like, yeah, done.
Yeah.
I'm very, my family's amazing. My sisters are one of my biggest supporters. They come out every year to Pride. So my sister, I think she got married the summer before. And yeah, I got to stroll down Yonge Street in her lehenga, which...
How cool was that?
It was really amazing, I've got to say, yeah.
Do you have pictures of that?
I 100% have pictures.
We're gonna need those.
I think I've seen them.
I've not seen them.
We're on Instagram, so I'm pretty sure that
So we have to start doing that as well now.
Yeah, then I'll definitely share those with you. But no, I think that was probably the most elaborate outfit I've had to date.
Yeah.
I have some ideas for next year, based on...
So we're not going to get any sort of glimpses to what's coming up?
Yeah, I would say the best way to... No, we'll wait till next year.
Okay. What we'll do is on the Elevated Grapes Instagram page, once he wears it, we'll post it. Yeah, so people can actually see it. So let's talk about it on the flip side. So there's the cool component of being able to dress and be who you want to be and the way you want to be in that moment and sort of enjoy it outside of the norm. There's people that are obviously coming to see this from a different perspective. They're not coming to see it to celebrate. They're coming to see it to either mock it or to cause controversy or to be like, well, this isn't what we represent as a community.
Right.
So, have you been through anything like that during Pride Weekend, and have you seen anything like that happen? And what's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So, I mean, most recently, actually, Hamilton just had their Pride, and they had the Christian fundamentalists come out with signs So that's never happened in Toronto that I've seen.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see if they come out this weekend because Hamilton Pride was last weekend.
Right.
When I was in Halifax last year, or maybe 3 years ago, they were having their first Pride ever, and there was a van that drove around with the totally Christian fundamentalists being like, gay, like, I don't know what they were saying specifically, but it was just spewing gay hate. And for me, I think it just makes people stronger. Like, I was there with my partner at that time and his mom. And his mom, it was her first time being at Pride with us.
Right.
And she was just like, this is crap. And she's a Christian woman who goes to church.
Right.
So she was like, this is not what I believe. And she was really upset by that. And I was like, the parade still went on. The people came out. People, like, I feel like people cheered even more because it was like, how do you fight the hate?
Yeah.
Right? And so it feels like hate. It's, someone's point of view. No, it's definitely hate. Let me take that back. It's hate. It's hate.
It's for the record, it's hate.
It's hate.
And it was just like, how do you, I think it makes you stronger on the other end, where you're like, how do you counteract that? But not with, I feel like with the gay community, actually not, any community that's attacked always wants to fight back with love.
Right.
And I think it just gives you a chance to be even more, like there's more solidarity, and you want to be like, how do we do this? How do we do it in a better way?
Well, I feel like there's almost unity in numbers, right? Because especially during the weekend when there's so many people celebrating, if you're gonna get the few that are gonna come out and be like, hey, like, whatever.
But I mean, like, it shouldn't just be about this month, right? Like,
of course,
the whole concept of pride and acceptance should now be really year long, because we have come such a long way since homosexuality was first like coming out there. And for me, the reason why I think. So when I first moved here, when I'm not here in Toronto, but like here so when I moved to Montreal from Dubai, I was like 12 years old. I'm coming from a place that was very shunned back then, right? Like things like sex and boys and all of those things were not out very in the open. And I'm coming here, and that story is still in my head where there was this. So I was 12 years old. I was in grade 8. And I heard about this young boy was beaten up and tied to a fence because he was gay.
Right.
And I mean, now the other details are a bit fuzzy, but the fact that he was beaten up at such a young age and tied to a fence because he was gay was something that really struck a chord at me, even though at that point I didn't really understand it as much.
Right.
But that kind of helped me take out the judgment factor and want to understand and want to learn and then want to accept people. So in my head, it's like, if I can do that, coming from a whole different like background and culture and really like adjusting to a lifestyle here, people who are born and raised here, how do they have all this hate is something I still cannot comprehend. I really can't. So I've gone to Pride Week in like Montreal. Like, I've walked the parade. It was so much fun. I celebrated one of my birthdays at the gay village there.
Right.
And then we went and we saw like the drag show. It was so much fun. It was actually one of my best birthdays. I have to say that.
Right.
So like, there's so much love in this whole like area, and I just feel like, how do you hate it? Like, how? It's just so weird for me. But yeah, that's like my part.
That's a difficult and troubling story to hear in any situation, and no one should be facing that.
Right. And the sad part is that parts of the world that's still a thing, right? Like in Africa, you can't be gay. Like death sentences are still a thing. I think we also forget that like even just outside of Toronto, it's still an issue, right? Like people who come from small town Ontario still face this kind of like hate and stuff. People just don't understand. I think, in my perspective, I think as a human being, until you're in a situation about these things, you don't understand it, right? So I can make a judgment on anything and be like, oh, that kind of sucks, or that's stupid. Unless this is the other way. I could be like, that girl's a slut. She's wearing short shorts.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's just my perspective. I don't understand. And then when my sister wears short shorts, and I'm like, oh wait, and she's just wearing them because it's
hot outside.
It's hot.
It's hot outside.
Yeah.
The F word.
It's okay. We can.
All right.
Yes. He will do that.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
It's hot outside. Right. And before, like, I'm pretty sure I said stupid things like that long before, until my sister was in that situation. Then I was like, oh, my perspective changes all of a sudden. And I think as humans, we don't, unless we're put in a situation where we have to look into ourselves, our perspective, like, we have these prejudgments that we don't question, or we're like, I'm just gonna do what I'm told.
It's a preconceived notion.
Yeah. You know, and what I love to see is when I meet my friends' parents who know me, they'll be like, oh my god, we love Shafik, and then they're like, they're gay. They're like, even though they don't understand, they're like, I feel like at that point they're like less understand it, because now they know me.
They know you as a person,
and that changes everything. And I think that like across the board, I feel like people the ignorance is where the hate comes from.
Yeah,
right.
And that's actually the perfect way to put it. The ignorance is where the hate comes from.
Yeah.
So on that topic, let's talk about the whole concept of ignorance and hate, because now we were sort of chatting about this a little bit before, but just the whole movement with the transgender, right? Because now it's a bigger sort of controversial topic. It's a lot more open now. Not many people are accepting of the idea or the concept. Some areas, some places, you're starting to see some acceptance of it and understanding of what it is and how to sort of mold it into the community that doesn't totally get it.
Right.
So what is your take on that?
So I'm very lucky that I feel like my cousin, I have a family member who just came out as trans, and it's again, when you're in that spot, it changes everything. I have friends who are trans, and I've had friends who've transitioned. I think for me, the interesting is that when you talk to somebody who's done the transition, you really get a sense of this is who they are. Everything in their bones makes them feel that way. You can physically see it in somebody's body. They're like, I'm gonna go tomorrow and get I'm gonna get my breast taken out. I'm getting on testosterone, and you can tell like when their outsides start matching their insides, it's who they were meant to be.
The personality. Right. They become the personality.
Yeah, they just become it's not even personality. It's who they were.
Right.
So their outsides get to match their insides, and I think with the trans community. It's such a variance. So depending on where you are in your transition and how you want to so how am I going to do this? So I think like if you transition from male to female in the early stages of your transition, you still will have facial hair and all that kind of stuff. So you're still very masculine looking. And then the estrogen, sorry,
yes.
estrogen.
Estrogen.
Yeah, the other way around.
Women have estrogen.
Yeah.
They physically will start changing. Right, and you can, and I think because trans people sit on this spectrum where you get, so even at the beginning of your transition, you're still trans, and to the end of your transition, and there's this weird goal that you need to look a very specific. I mean, I think we all have it, right? Like women have it worse than men, but I think this idea that you need to look a very specific way to be feminine.
Right.
So I think when like people don't understand that you could sit on any part of that spectrum and still be trans. You don't have to look a very specific way.
Right.
And I think that's new for people. It's the education is new. People haven't taken the time to understand it.
Right.
And we were talking earlier about how like this is a North American concept. Trans identity is leading and has been leading LGBT movements in Southeast Asia for decades. It's easier to be a trans person in Pakistan than it is to be a gay man. Which is so bizarre.
But see, that is so weird, right?
Because it's such a North American concept. It's like
so from your experience, like, why do you think that is? What do you think is different from a acceptance or mentality there versus what we're seeing here?
Oh, that's a great question, Sagar.
Like not just Pakistan. You see it in Bali. You see it in Bali, in Thailand. Like it's almost everywhere in sort of that part of the world.
But even here, I feel like in the Native American culture, the Native Canadian culture. Trans is not an issue. Like it was what was like leading it ahead of time, right? Like they were the shamans, they were the people who understood and led the world. What is the difference? I don't know. I feel so. I'm going to get politically wrong, but it's this weird white mentality that comes in. This colonial mentality,
right?
That I think if they don't understand it, they put you in a box, and like it's totally if it's not working for them, they've imposed these behaviors that have changed people's behaviors over the years. A very good example is recently I was at a talk at the ROM, and Starcha from the Peabody came down to talk about the Prince and His Pearls. So back in the day, South Asian men, kings, used to wear diamonds and pearls, and it was never considered emasculine. That was right. That was a big thing for our culture.
Right.
It's when the British came and took over, and they were like, and they were like, if you wear jewelry, you're more feminine. They imposed this idea that masculinity needs to look a very specific way, which made the masculinity in our culture not acceptable anymore. So now, if you wear jewel, so it changed. Then the men stopped wearing all those jewels and diamonds and that kind of stuff because it made them less masculine.
Right.
But realistically, in our culture, that was always a thing. Like it's not as if we all the kings wore these things. That's when you have these things, that you show your pride. Right?
Right.
So it was a culture
keyword
of
of the day.
on this.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I like you brought that back in.
Thank you for bringing it back.
Yeah.
I think that was it, right? So I think that's just what's changed. I feel like there's this mentality that, again, I think with the Native Americans, it's the mentality that was always there, and then colonialism came and brought this thinking that made people feel like they weren't equal or worthy of whatever this was supposed to be. And I think now it's time that things are switching back around, which is kind of exciting. But now it's this uphill, uphill is a bad word, but it's this battle to bring it back up.
But it is an uphill battle, right? Because a lot of people are not accepting of it and don't understand it and have a challenge accepting and bringing it into everyday life.
Right.
So, and going back a bit to what we were touching on a bit earlier was the whole genderless notion and concept. So that's fairly new, but now you're, especially in the world of fashion, you are now seeing this is gender neutral, this is genderless fashion.
Right.
Now, how does that kind of start playing into the whole transgender community? Because I feel like those two at some point are going to come together and kind of face a little bit of a standstill. So how does that, from your opinion, what do you think about that?
Fully from my perspective.
On your perspective, fully.
This whole podcast is on my perspective.
Yeah, this is the Shafik podcast.
Yeah, please don't take this and go like, this is what I heard. So, I think...
But it might happen, Someone may be like, I heard this one guy, he's an expert.
So I'm not an expert.
It was at his house. He wore jewels. It happened. I believe everything he says.
Perfect, that's amazing.
It's on Wikipedia now. You got your Wikipedia page.
That'd be really cool.
That'd be cool.
There you go.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. Quotes from Shafik.
Yeah.
It's a book.
All stolen from Oprah. I've just rephrased Oprah's quotes and made it my own.
Yeah.
There you go. Done.
Change some words, turn some words around. I want royalties, thanks.
Right? Yeah. Done. Copyrighted. All the way.
You heard it on our podcast first.
Yes. We had talked about this earlier. So having somebody in our family who's transitioning, and seeing that they're like in their new body, I don't know what the right word is, but them be like transitioning from male to female and seeing how happy they are. Like this is where they belong. And I think what this non-gender, this binary gives people just the freedom to sort of say, I don't know, I don't want to fit into any of these molds. I think there's a freedom. I think. I feel like I need to re-emphasize that.
I think
that it allows them just to be whoever they want without us as humans putting them into a box. And that creates like this, this idea that when you sit in an empty space, it actually opens up this idea of uber creativity, right? And this idea, sit in silence or go sit in nature, and then you're open to everything. And I think that's kind of what it's doing. We don't have any proof of it yet, but I feel like that's what it's going to do, right? I think of like my little nephew who's 13 months old, and I look at him running around in life, and I'm just like, this guy has no idea, and like what's happening, no clue. But it's so beautiful because there's something about this idea that kids just have no boundaries, no boundary, but they have no preconceived notions.
Innocence. It's a pure innocence.
Yeah, and as parents, they don't put him in any box. Like my sister's like, oh, he's got a pink shirt on. Like they just don't give a f about this kind of stuff. So I think this non-binary thing will bring about that, this idea that people just get to sort of be like, cool, I don't know, right? And it's okay that I don't know,
right?
As opposed to being like, I don't know, so I have to feel bad about it. Or if I don't look like Jessica Rabbit, then I'm not feminine enough. If I don't look like Tarzan, then I'm not masculine enough. Now people can just be like, okay, I can be exactly who I am, and it's like a blank white slate to work with.
So what do you think the fear is? Like, it's obviously stemmed, like you said, from ignorance or fear. Like, what do you think the fear is? Like, what do you think people think is going to happen, or from what you heard at least?
God, we love boxes. We love putting people in boxes. It's how our brain functions, right? It's like square has to go in the square hole. The circle has to go in the circle hole. I don't think us as humans know how to sort of be like, okay, it doesn't go, like no big deal. Yeah. So I think it's going to cause those people who are so regimented and they can only see the world in a very specific way. It's really going to challenge those notions, right? And I think they're going to challenge even us. Like we had this conversation. I think even us, we're going to have to we're going to be like, oh, but I love this idea. Yeah. So I think we're so excited
in different ways of life, not just specifically this topic.
Yes.
Right. In so many different ways, right? Like, and I think it just categorizes stuff. It makes things easy for us to digest. If I know if I know the blue fits in the blue, then I understand it. And I think what this does is like now blue fits into every color.
Right.
What?
Yeah. It's okay, don't worry. We'll get you covered. Bleep. Bleep.
So I think that's what's gonna happen. I think people are just gonna like it's great because it's gonna shake up a whole generation of people. Are gonna be like, oh, I don't know.
Well, think about it. Think about it 20 years from now, or whatever the case. Like any time in the future versus the mentality that sort of some of the older generations have versus where it's going to be 20, 30 years from now and how people will perceive and accept and understand it.
the exciting part about it is that I think that we're just souls journeying through this level,
figuring it out,
right? And so we're just souls in these bodies, and I don't know who picked this body. I guess we picked these bodies, but. So it's interesting. We'll get to a point where we're just these souls. Like we're just gonna look at each other as a soul journey. We're not gonna look at it and be like, oh my god, is Rashi a girl journey? Like we're just gonna be like, cool, this is like I don't know.
You look at them as a person versus anything else.
Right.
Person first.
And then that's something that we haven't done, and we haven't done for decades. I'll still go look at somebody in a specific color and be like, you're this person.
Yes.
Like we still judge a book by its cover. I feel
I think everybody does to an extent, no matter what.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah. I feel like it's gonna give us a chance to
be less superficial.
Or less judge,
there's
no way I can judge you on this because
less judgy.
What your book cover looks like is not actually who you are. The novel on the inside is going to be completely different than the book.
Yeah.
And
let me ask you a question, and it may get a little bit controversial with this question, and I don't know if you faced this question before, but what about that mentality, or people come to you and say, well, a man and a woman make a child, right? Like, what about that?
Right.
Like, I mean, and I'm sure you've heard that, like, experience, like, I've said that. Like, where does that fit into versus acceptance? Because again, two different topics.
I mean, and again, a sperm make a child. Right. So I think for me, at the end of the day, as somebody who wants to have children,
such a good answer.
Right, I feel only because I feel like I've been through the journey, right?
Yeah.
I want to have kids, so I'm like, and our family, and in my family, we're not going to have a male and a female parent. We're going to have two male parents.
Right.
And our children are going to come from an egg and a sperm.
Right.
So. And I guess, I mean, the good thing is the woman holds the egg and the male holds the sperm. I don't know, I feel like with genetics, that's going to be, like, if we can master DNA into anything at this point.
But I mean, we're heading to, we are going that way. We are going in that direction, because even now, you have straight women who are like, I don't need a man to, like, have a child.
Right.
Right? I just need a sperm.
Right.
That's really it. And if you really think about it, we don't really need men to have a family with. We just need the sperm, and that's about it.
Right.
I'm so happy to be here.
It's like, I still may have a family. If Rashi doesn't, I'm still out there.
You have backups, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Like all these topics, and I'm like, well, okay, we need to be here.
Okay, but my point is that if straight women can start thinking like that, because now we have changed, right? We are not like, oh my god, I'm like in my 30s and I need to like get married and like pop babies. It's like, okay, cool, it'll happen when it happens.
Pop champagne instead.
Yeah, there you go. And if I don't find the one and I still want to have a child, I can either adopt or just get a sperm and like approve it and like give birth, right?
Yeah.
So I think that notion's there in the straight community, and I think that has shifted in the gay community as well, because you do see a lot of parents who are either lesbians or they're gays and they have children and they're being accepted by that.
Right.
So that is a big shift as well that's happened.
I think so. I think that, again, it's just this idea that like we're becoming these souls at some point, right? So what I think was changing is that even straight people have fertility issues, and your solutions are the exact same as ours.
Exact same.
Yeah.
Nothing
What's
changes.
the difference then?
Yeah. So I mean, the people who say you need a male and a female to, yes, like technically you need a male and a female to make, but actually we don't, like, it's not as black and white anymore.
It's ingredients.
Yeah, it's right. So like it's like you need these ingredients to make a cake. Yeah. Of course you need these ingredients, but that's.
Sorry, I didn't mean for that to be funny.
No, it's brilliant. I love it. No, I might use it all weekend.
Cool. If it's in your book.
Yeah.
Like a part. Okay. Writing credits.
But I think that the key ingredients, they're the ingredients to it, but they're not the key ingredients, right? You can still have a cake, because now we can have vegan cakes with no flour and eggs.
Exactly. Or like gluten-free. There you go.
So, so I mean, I guess that's it. I would tell somebody that you need an egg and a sperm.
Yeah, like, you don't really need like.
Yeah, you don't need a man, and also you don't need a man and women to raise children. There's so many like single parents out there, right? And have been doing it for decades. So I think if somebody's in that thinking, it just sounds like you need to take some time to think from a different perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna switch gears real quick,
right?
Just because I want to cover one or two other things with Shafik. So fashion's a big part of your life,
right?
Huge part of your life. You guys were having a conversation earlier today about some of the fashion houses that you turn towards, sort of at their onset when they're coming out with new lines and like, you know, that's what you look forward to. Yeah. Talk to us about that a little, just because I want to get back to the fashion.
You know, I think my all-time favorite fashion. I have two all-time favorite fashion houses. The Dior.
Yes.
100%. And we're just talking about how like Kim Jones right now is killing it. Like to bring streetwear to couture is so fantastic.
Right.
Like I salivate every time I think of it. And the pre-fall men's line is brilliant. Fendi's always been, so Karl Lagerfeld I think has just always been like a huge.
He was a genius.
Such a genius.
Such a genius.
Right?
Yeah.
And he straddled along so many fashion houses. Like he did Chanel, he did his own line. He also went in and out, like he's Dior, like he's been through everybody, I think. And I think I love Fendi. I just love. I think Fendi's so contemporary. The Monster Eyes they did a couple of years ago was so fun. For men's fashion, right? That's very specific.
Yeah,
but
the male fashion is a target, but yeah, if you have women's fashion that you like, for sure.
And I think like Jean-Paul Gaultier,
right?
Always
like, you know, and again like French Canadian, really cool stuff. And funny, like there's something about his is very tongue in cheek the way he does things.
Right.
So he does very great structured stuff, but it's like this tongue in cheek to it. I think he's very playful, which I love in his fashion. And Mugler, Mugler and oh my god, and Blonde, and the Blondes. I feel like for their costuming and like they do fantastic stuff.
They've always looked good. Yes.
Yeah. Again, I think leading in thought and leading in like how to bring two crazy worlds together. They bring good costuming and bristling and like it's still a really cool job. Yeah.
You guys were also having a discussion about being a designer versus a clothing manufacturer. Right. And there's a difference. I was listening closely as we were working on the side. So I want to bring that up. So what was your debate on that? Because I think that's a really cool topic. Because there's a lot of people that think they're designers.
Right.
That's my like biggest pet peeve in the industry. I'll be honest with you. Like I hate. Like I literally hate it with a passion when some random person is like, "Look, I'm a designer. I have like a line of shirts." I'm like, "Okay, so do you make the pattern? Do you cut?" They're like, "Oh no, so I'm a manufacturer, like back in China." So I'm like, "Okay, so you're not a designer. You manufacture this lovely shirt, which everybody else is doing it, and then you put your name on it, and you sell it over here for like 3 times the price, and you call yourself a designer, which you're not." So I hate that.
So Rashi has an opinion.
I feel like I share. So I think the difference is that like they're designers, people who understand art and fashion, right? So there's people, somebody who'll be like, "Oh, cool, like I'm placing this button here specifically for a reason. There's a reasoning behind everything they're doing. They understand what's behind it, and then they break rules amazingly. Yeah. And then there's other people who want to do it because they like, oh, I can just create this. So I think what's really great, what we have really great going on right now is that anybody can try to be a designer.
Of course,
yeah. So it's fun. Like, go ahead and experiment. But it isn't like, I think like for me, fashion, like a fashion designer is like he understands design. There's some education or even self-taught. Like, it doesn't have to be formal education, but you're taught. You understand what it takes for a collar to look like a collar. I'm currently working / investing in a new fashion design called Beau Garçon, which means pretty boy. And
it's a cool name.
I think it's a pretty cool name.
Really cool.
And what they're doing is they're a Canadian-based company, and what they're doing is they're mixing like art pieces with fashion, and it's just like for me, I'm like, oh, I would wear your clothes. I think that's just really neat when people that are like, I understand fashion, understand construction, they understand tailoring. And when it looks good on your body, and then they know how
that
to
is the key word.
Tailoring. Yeah, understanding how it looks on the body.
Tailoring, construction of a garment, like you said, history, purpose. Yeah. Though, like that is a designer. They're understanding the art aspect as well. Yeah. I mean, I still wish we had, like back in the day, like Chanel's and Dior's. Like that is real couture. Like that is what fashion still needs to be. Yeah. Not this like we're all equal bullshit, because we're not when it comes to fashion. But and I know I'll get a lot of hate comments for this, but
okay, we're gonna do a quick pause, so people are gonna hate you.
I mean, I do come pre-hated to like some extent, so that's fine by me. But it's whatever. It is what it is.
The people who like you will like you. The people who don't like you don't pay them any attention. Like that's
there you go.
Right.
You gotta be yourself regardless.
Yeah. But that does not change my opinion on fashion. I still believe, and I have believed from the past even 10 years, despite the industry changing and shifting, and despite having the ability to globally understand fashion and research, which is great, and to give your opinion. But I still believe that there is a hierarchy in fashion, and that does need to exist. I mean, no, we all cannot be everybody and everything. And that's to your point of being the instant gratification of saying that this person did this, I can also do it. Look, I've done it. Oh my God, yay!
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Of course.
So
talking about fashion, your outfit, what's that inspired from?
So
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. So I have my sister styles me. So shout out Shafik Kamani. I'll be like, here's my closet. So the good thing about having a sister who understands fashion is that she's worked at in fashion and done like styling and that kind of stuff. So I always go to her when I don't know what I do, and her thing is like, what makes you comfortable and what says who you are.
Yeah,
and she was
so like that. I love that.
We said that in our first podcast.
Yeah.
Your fashion sense has got to speak to your personality.
Right, and what makes you comfortable? Like she always will come to my closet and be like, put that on. She goes, you look uncomfortable in it. You're not wearing it. So any event I'm going to, she's like, does that make you feel comfortable? And does that make you feel good? I'm like, yeah. She goes, that's
what you want to wear.
Mm-hmm. And it's also great because she's my sister, so she knows me well enough. So she knows when I'm bullshitting. When I'm like, oh, I want to wear this Fendi jacket. She's like, you just spent too much money on this shirt, return it back. It doesn't look like you look uncomfortable.
We can take you to Walmart.
Right. Yeah.
We're not promoting any brands, but we're just saying.
And we'll get a paintbrush and put it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
We got you.
She jokes all the time about how like someone's like, oh my god, I can't wait to get an Hermes shirt. She goes, I'm gonna go to H&M, get a shirt, and write Hermes on it.
Yeah, and you're good to go.
That's her shirt. And I was like, okay, you're done it. So yeah, so really, she was like, she went to my class. She's like, you look. This is what you enjoy, and this kind of stuff. I feel like, I didn't do this like. So if you knew me, you didn't know me a couple years ago. So I'd say 10 years ago, I was very conservative in my dressing. But then I dabbed into the art of drag, and I feel like that sort of allowed me to be more adventurous in fashion and take some more risks. And so now I feel like this is a weird thing where like Sasha Fierce and Beyonce meet, and this is a moment where you're like, actually, both worlds can collide. So I've been to like many events dressed like this. I think it's fun, like, and to understand this is part of like South Asian culture. Kings used to dress like this.
You're throwing that in there too.
Like, let's throw that shit back out, right? Like, let's just wear what we want. Like, let's bring this thing together and let's have fun with it. I don't think that needs to. I don't know. For me, it doesn't matter. Like, for me now, it's like I just want to have fun with it. I don't like if you don't like it, then you're not wearing it. Why do you care?
Yeah.
Right.
So what's one of your favorite accessory pieces to put on and put in with an outfit? I'm asking from a male fashion perspective.
Right. Yeah. I think the pocket square.
It could be a jewelry piece too. Whatever you think.
Yeah, honestly, I think the pocket square is always the best thing for me. I feel like a pocket square.
Yeah, because you got a really cool one on right now.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's actually a bow tie.
I was gonna say,
sister
has that look to it, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So instead of a bow tie, she's like, try this today, and I was like,
that's genius.
Okay.
See, it doesn't matter. You got to style it.
Yeah,
exactly.
It works.
And I was like, this is like, why didn't I think of this? This bow tie has sat in my closet for like decades.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Except wear it at a gala. And
now you got used to it.
Now I can wear it as a pocket square.
There you go.
And I think a pocket square is the easiest way to do it. Like, it's such a nice way to like elevate an outfit. You adds a pop of color, and it doesn't have to match anything.
Yeah.
And if you're wearing a t-shirt, then it's
still it adds a bit of like that pop.
Yeah.
Cool. So where are people? Okay, so you're going into Pride weekend.
Right.
This weekend. I was gonna ask a question, but I'm gonna backtrack and I'm gonna follow up with that question afterwards. What's one of the biggest things you're looking forward to for the weekend?
I think again, it's the Met Gala for Pride. Right? It's the caravana of the gay community. People get to come out and be more elaborate than they've ever been, or less elaborate. Like they just got a choice. Like this is the time that you get to come out and be. You play dress up, like you get to dress up or get to show your inside in a more fashion way or a more elaborate way. So for me, it's just like I love seeing what people come up with, and not just the gay people, even like the straight people come. Like the amount of straight people you'll see at the parade, and you'll be like dressed up in like their bright colors. Or actually, I lied. My favorite thing is when like seniors come out and they're wearing like
that's so cute.
That's awesome.
Like it melts my heart. Cause I'm like, I just want to go and like I literally will go and hug them at the parade.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. I love to see what people come up with.
Are you like in the sidelines, or are you in the middle running around?
No, so I belong to a community. Like I belong to a group called the Smiley Queers.
Okay.
So Smiley is my religion, and we're all queer. And we've been marching. So we've been in groups for over 12 years. We're a global group that has over 300 people, and we march as a contingent.
Okay, that's awesome.
And so so this is the one time of the year you get to do this.
Yeah.
And for me, last year was the first. Last year I was like, I'm so tired of this. I don't want to do this anymore. And somebody had just arrived from Iran and saw our sign. He's like, hey, I just came yesterday. I was strolling here. I'm a gay Smiley. Nice to meet you. And I was like, okay, this is why we do it.
Yeah.
Because within this instant, this gentleman got a community.
Absolutely.
Right.
Incredible
Like
for him.
committed right away. So so I'm always marching. And I get excused to wear my sister's lingas.
Yeah. For wedding outfits.
Yeah.
One by one, like Kristingi, different outfits. You can use them. And then you're gonna start mixed matching them.
Yeah. watch out. And I have a lot of like cousin sisters. So
oh my goodness.
He's set.
He's never ending.
I'm never like.
He's set almost finished. It's good to go. So so now the question I was gonna ask you. So a lot of people are gonna hear this after Pride weekend. So where can they find you online to see some of your experiences and some of the stuff you went through over the weekend?
Oh, great. Yeah. So I'm going to have to document that. On Instagram.
And that's going to be on your stories and you got stuff on your feed. So people who are watching, they can go in and
step up my game.
Yeah.
So I'm the only Shafik Kamani out there in the world, which is great. SHA.
Actually?
Yeah. I had an uncle and then he passed away and we had the same spelling. So now I'm the only one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
We should Google that. I don't know that for a fact. Again, my opinion.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm definitely the only Shafik Kamani.
So if anybody's listening and you Google Shafik Kamani and you come up with another one, let us know.
Please.
Let us know.
SHAFIK period KAMANI. That's my handle on everything.
We'll put it in the description as well
so
people can see it. But that's also a task because I want to now know if he's the only Shafik Kamani in the world.
Yeah, me too.
And I want to share her stuff on our
100%.
Well, for sure.
Yeah, so you guys can coordinate that because she manages all our social media stuff. So
okay, perfect. And
basically, he looks pretty, and I do all the work.
Yeah.
Soccer does it really well, so I feel like this is fair.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
As long as I've known him longer, actually, you look just as pretty.
Thank you.
That's
okay.
Just as
that's
pretty.
okay.
It's not a big compliment.
Yeah.
He can be the pretty one between us. That's fine. I am generous like that.
This is the point of the podcast where it's just going to fade out automatically. The sound's just going to go away.
Actually, why does one have to be prettier? Why can't we just, like, if we're going to go to this new generation of everything, why can't you both be the pretty ones? Why can't two pretty people be on there you go.
Yeah.
Actually, you're just as pretty.
Yeah. And from my angle, you match the Roger sign. Even though the Roger sign is red and you're wearing orange.
You are colorblind.
Are you colorblind? Sorry.
The light, this camera light's in my face. Yeah.
I told you, we have a very interesting friendship.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen Sagar's stuff acting style for decades, and I know, like, he's impeccable in what he does.
He is amazing
brilliant,
as a stylist. Yeah. He's really great at what he does. I think this is why we are working with each other. He is actually, like, being real and not making fun of him. He is phenomenal. He actually really is.
100% I agree.
So I'm lucky that I get to work with him, and there are times there are times like I will like message him like, should I wear this or not? So he started styling me now. Yeah. So that's really how we're.
Honestly, from this Sagar, it's great to see you're out there putting your stuff out there because I feel like I've always admired your work, like how you put things together and who you are as a person, and to see that you're sharing that with the world. Both of you. I mean, we're just.
But him. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
It's about time.
Yeah,
just coming from you means a lot because I know your fashion sense too, and I'm like, even as a straight guy, like that's some cool stuff to rock. Like, I can work with that. I can work with this.
You give me a run for my money. I tell you, like, in decades I've seen you do stuff. I was like, this guy, I'm so excited about where you guys are going with this.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
It's all him, really. Like he's the brains.
No,
besides his like,
it's teamwork.
Like besides his like pretty face, it's the brains too.
Yeah.
Rashi, you can't put yourself down on this stuff.
No.
No, I'm not.
She's a published stylist. Like, so she can say all this nice stuff about me, but she has stuff out on Google that if you Google her name, like actual work comes up. Right. So I don't have that claim yet. So at this stage, you know what? Let her say everything she wants. You Google both of our names, we know who the winner is. Right.
Oh dear God. Okay, we are a team. Remember?
Yeah, team.
There's no I in team.
There's no I in team.
But there's an M and an E.
Yeah, there is. And that's me. Okay, that's it. We're cut.
Wait, no.
Sorry.
No. Talk about your necklace. I have been loving it. I love jewelry. We all know that. So just we have to talk about this.
So my friend Shushmita makes some fantastic outfits and stuff. It's just really underground. She doesn't like to share her stuff.
Why?
I know.
Like, as a stylist, this is a dream.
Well, I'm happy to steal. I go to her closet a lot. So a lot of jewelry that I wear at events are her stuff. Stuff that she's either like found and put together, or she's
let's secretly give out her Instagram handle so she gets followers.
Yes.
And people get to know about her.
Great idea. I don't know what it is, but I'll send it to you.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
We're gonna put it in the description. Poor girl.
Yeah.
She does some great stuff. She's one of the people who she's like, this is for fun, but she'll go and find, like, she's one of the people who'll go to like dollar store or something and find pieces that you don't think would match, and then she just will put it together, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, was that a necklace from that? And she's like, yeah, I just put these things together, and you're like, amazing, I'd pay $1,000 for that. It's like, here you go, for free. And I'm like,
it's from the dollar store.
Yeah. And, I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell. It's like, like, and again, she has an eye for it.
I love this. This is like, This is
so
one of my
this is
favorite
one of
pieces.
her own designs.
I believe, yes.
That's really cool.
Anytime you want to borrow, actually, you're happy to give it to you.
Where did I become best friends?
Perfect.
Especially when it comes to like jewelry, it's just giving you a heads up. I'm like obsessed with it.
Yeah,
so,
you're a big jewelry fiend.
And now that I know the Prince wore pearls, I'm uber excited about trying to explore that.
I love that idea, and I think that's something we can actually take on an editorial fashion level. See, like it's just. Let's just do it. Done. We're doing it.
So Rashi's gonna have another publication really soon when you Google her.
I think, please. But it's such a great concept, right? This idea that we and with the Jodhpur exhibit right now at the ROM, I think it's such a cool.
It'd be cool to tie that in somehow.
Yeah, you know what? You guys. Actually, for your podcast idea, there's a painter who's done amazing painting at Drake 150.
Okay.
And I'll show it to you on my phone.
We have access right here. Sure. So it's gone a little bit silent for those that are listening now.
Right, so we're just going to scroll through the photographs, and this artist has basically painted a male body adorned in what would be considered North American-wise feminine.
Mm-hmm. Do send us that because we'll put it on the screen for those that
I don't know what her name is, but it's just like the space is amazing. This is it.
Look at that.
Oh my god.
So let me get the artist's name as well. She's
We'll include that in. So that's the neck piece, but the whole thing is a neck piece.
Yes.
Am I understanding that correctly?
This whole thing is a painting that she has put on the wall. Yeah. And again, and then this whole like contrast of this like strong black colored body with
there's like all those French details, and then you see the necklace,
like
and
again,
and this is at the Drake 150?
At the Drake 150.
We'll give them a shout out too for that, because that's pretty cool.
I guess we're going for drinks there at some point.
We definitely have to go to Drake 150.
What's that club that's in the corner? Like there's the Drake Hotel and there's the small bar next to it.
No, that's the Drake 150 is
on York.
in the financial district,
right?
In York.
And so they've done this like a similar one right next door.
It's like a mini one, I think, or something similar.
Drake mini bar.
Yeah,
so that's
where it's at.
Okay,
it's
perfect.
Fantastic. Again, this
that
like South Asian mom who's a painter who put this together.
That's really cool.
And that's also a great venue to do a podcast in.
Yeah,
like that being your background if you're going to talk about the Prince and the Pearls.
We're gonna have to get our next one over there.
Yeah.
I just want to do this like shoot now. Like I want to do it. Sorry, I just got very excited.
Are we allowed to hear about the shoot, or is it a top secret?
Top secret for now.
Okay.
Yeah. So watch out for the shoot.
So there's a shoot coming up with Shafik and Rashi, so you'll see it. Just keep an eye.
Men who want to wear jewelry are welcome to
absolutely.
reach out to us.
Shout out. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Sagar.
A new Elevated Grid
right?
podcast.
You're in.
I'm down with jewelry.
Yeah.
I'm always wearing jewelry, except for right now. Generally, I'm wearing it.
Listen, our kings wore this. We are allowed to reclaim this and do it.
I'm in.
Yeah. Good job, guys.
That's a good spot to end because now we have a project to work on. Yes. Okay, so thank you again for listening to the Elevated Grid podcast. You got our stylist Rashi Bindra. You know, we got Shafik now, so you're gonna follow him. He's gonna be at Pride all weekend. You're gonna see all the aftermath of that weekend. Just be careful what you put on video,
right?
Because it's gonna be a fun time. And your host Sethi. Thank you again for listening, and catch our next podcast. Woohoo! Hey guys, thank you for watching that podcast or that video. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more of us and see some of our behind-the-scenes stuff, subscribe below.
Yes, hit that little red, button thingy that's over there and hit subscribe and keep following us for a lot more cool, fun stuff.
Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you soon.